Salut à tous, c'est Timo pour Eurogaming et aujourd'hui je suis en compagnie de Quickshot. I am with Quickshot. How are you doing, man?
Very good, very good. Very excited to chat and talk about EULCS.
All right. Well, you know, about EULCS, we've lost a lot of players. A lot of them left to NA, Sven Midis, Febiven. Are we still even a major region at this point?
We have been before. Timo, it's not the first time that we've lost players. It sucks a little bit to lose, especially our mid lane talent, with Febiven going over with Power of Evil. But EU's famous for their mids. Losing Sven and Mithy, they were called the best bot lane in the West for a very long time. But what I am excited about is Europe as a region has produced a lot of pro players. And I think if you look outside of Korea, the European server, the European LCS, has produced more exported talent than anywhere else. So I'm confident. I know we've got a lot of good rookies, a lot of new names, and I'm excited to come up through the ranks. And I really, really hope that the players that left our region lose to our region at international events, because then we get some bragging rights, you know.
All right, so you think this spring split will be as competitive and as exciting to watch as the previous splits?
I think it's going to be more competitive. I mean, if you go back and you look at, let's say, the last 2 years of LCS, for the most part, there's this feeling that everybody's playing for second place. You know, maybe except for last summer, where G2 took a break after their MSI performance, where they made the finals, and Expect and Trick were in Korea. They came back after 3 weeks. Then you sort of went, oh, maybe G2, maybe they've lost it, and somebody else could win. But really, that wasn't the case. Got to playoffs, got to best of fives, and they shone through. So there wasn't a lot of competitiveness. We saw the same sort of results when we had the group structure, you know, the two groups, and the same teams filled the same places. This year's different. This year, because of those names that you've mentioned, you know, going to North America, and because of how many teams in Europe have swapped players and new coaches and even new orgs, old orgs with Schalke and Giants coming back in, I think the region is more competitive. There isn't a very clear number one anymore, and that's exciting to me.
All right, so G2 isn't the favorite anymore.
They can't be. They lost 4 players. They've got a new coach. The infrastructure is different. Now, Expect and Trick were gone, the Korean duo. Sven and Mithy, best bot lane in the West, they're gone. And there's excitement around the replacements. There's excitement around the team that's there with Jankos, with Hyun, and with Wadid, but it's unproven. Now, I can't shake the feeling. I have this gut feeling that they're still going to do very well, but it's not a guaranteed. You know, it's not 100% certain anymore. And you look at a team like Fnatic, they've made one roster change.
Yeah.
They should be the heavy favorites, you know, because of the experience, because they've been to Worlds and they did the miracle run. Like, there's a lot of magic there.
All right, so if we compare the EU rosters to the NA rosters, do you think there's a huge gap of level between the two regions?
I don't know. Now, I have to be very honest. I haven't paid super close attention to the North American rosters. So take this with a pinch of salt. But I think the top tier teams, for the announcements when they started, leaking towards the end of last year, and which acquisitions all of the new teams, the new rosters in North America have made. I think TSM is a very strong favorite. I think there's no doubt about it. If you look at that roster with Hornson and Bjergsen, who are really proven, Sven and Mithy, so proven. Mike Young's the only question mark, but he destroyed Europe at Rift Rivals, so that kid's got potential. I think if you take them out of the equation, I think there's a lot of equalness. You know, you can argue and debate who you think's going to show up and who you think can beat whom. But we need to see some games. I really want to see the different rosters in both regions. I want to see how the players perform. I want to see how the EU players perform at a North American stage. And only once I've seen some more games will I be able to say confidently how the power ranks. But I think TSM is the only team that my instincts tell me should be a Western super team.
All right, so about EULCS, I want you to give me that one team that will surprise us all.
The one team that will surprise us. It's a very difficult question.
Yeah, the one we're not expecting, you know?
So the one that everybody's expecting is Schalke. right? I think if you go look at social media and you go look at the videos and the content and the discussion, there's a lot of people talking about potential of this roster.
Yeah.
So that's the one that's exactly, upsets performance. I'm looking at Pride Stalker. He had a couple of good games last year, and how he can be unlocked. Andre, who's their coach, he was the coach for Giants when they requalified. I got to speak to him a lot last year during the promotion tournament, and he really impressed me. So I'm excited to see what that team can do. But that wasn't the question. The question was, who's the surprise? Who's the one we're not expecting? I don't know. I think Splice could surprise. I think Splice could really show up and show us something that we're not expecting. And I'm very excited about what the new coach Peter Dunn can do. He comes from the CBLOL region. He's very, very well versed in the emerging regions, all of these other regional leagues that don't play traditional LCS meta. And if you look at NA and EU, there are some differences, but a lot of the top tier teams, they have similarities. And Peter Dunn's coming in with a new playbook, a new perspective. And I'm excited what he can do because I know the Splice organization will embrace whatever crazy ideas that he proposes. And that's what I want to look forward to.
So we will see some cheeses.
I hate the word cheese. I hate the word cheese. Yes.
Originality.
That's what I prefer. No, I agree with you. I think the cheese or the idea of this unique one-off thing, it's best of ones. If people don't put some Gouda on the table or some unique strategies, innovative strategies, whatever you prefer, I'd be disappointed. And I think teams play 18 games. There's a little bit of room to try some things out. And I'm hoping Splice with Xerxes, with Peter Dunn, they're going to be willing to do that.
All right, so I'd like to talk about another topic with you. Of course, the Overwatch League just launched yesterday. Have you watched it?
I did, yes. I spent a lot of time watching the majority of the broadcast on their debut, which was, I think, Wednesday or Thursday. And then I caught the Saturday show as well, so the first and the fourth.
Did you like it?
I loved it. I really, really loved it. What I liked is they didn't try to reinvent the wheel. The show itself had a very traditional structure, an opening segment that took 10 minutes. I looked at it from a very sort of broadcast point of view,
of course,
with my job and all. And, they had their opening segment, they introduced their casters, they had analysis in between series. Each game goes to play 4 maps, and halfway through they did the break. I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the personalities, I enjoyed the presentation, and I'm really excited at what potential is there.
All right. So do you think it can maybe overshadow a little bit EU LCS and NA LCS? The fact that there's another competitive league, even if it's another game, do you think it can overshadow?
I think the question is a little short-sighted.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And the reason I say that, does the NFL overshadow football? Does National Hockey League overshadow the NBA? They're different games. They're different sports.
But maybe things are a little bit different in esports than sports.
Well, I think if you were watching some of the viewership, over the same weekend, there was some CSGO majors happening. And there was E-League happening, multiple CSGO events. And there was Overwatch League. And all of these broadcasts had several 100,000 viewers each. Yes, I agree, there is overlap. People play more video games than you play sports.
Of course, this is what I meant, yes.
But all video games have their own players, their own viewers, their own preferences. And I will watch Overwatch League even though I'm not a very active Overwatch player. But if LCS is on instead, I'll watch LCS. And I'm confident that each game can succeed with their player base and their viewer base because it happens. And we're seeing it already. There's multiple games competing for viewers, but all of them have got viewers, which is very happy, which makes me very happy.
Yes, and overall, esports is expanding.
And
this is great, right?
It is. It's phenomenal. And I really want the Overwatch League to do well. The Overwatch League, it debuted. It didn't have a formal league. They had, franchise teams buy in. The North American LCS, they just went franchising or permanent partnerships. And that's going to be debuting next Saturday, which I'm excited to see. And I've been around and I've watched esports for a long time. And I want all of these leagues to succeed because it's important for us, Our jobs are based in esports and we want everyone to thrive and do well.
Yes. So this is funny because you were talking about franchises. About franchises, do you think it would be a good thing to have EU LCS franchises? I want your personal opinion on the thing. Do you think it would be a good idea?
We're moving to a long-term partnerships model. We've already announced that it's going to be coming in 2019. And yes, I think it's a great idea. I think the stability that it provides teams, organizations, sponsors, it helps bridge the gap for traditional media and traditional advertising and sponsorship deals because there is that safety and that familiarity. And that's something that these old businesses need to have in order to buy into a new space. We're inventing a market. This whole economy, this whole business does not exist. You're developing and building it with each year. And that's why I'm excited about the potential.
So this is a part of growing. This is something we have to do. Okay. There's something else I would like to talk about. This is something us French people we like to debate about. You know, we would love. I think a lot of French people and a lot of people all around the world would love to see a World Cup.
Of course you want it. Well, you've got a lot of good French players.
Yes. So you know, yeah, Germany as well. A lot of countries have a lot of good players. But I'm wondering, do you think it would be a good idea? Do you think it would be relevant?
I would love it. I would love it. And I think, I'm going to be honest, I think we mostly have a World Cup already, except Europe as an EU LCS currently has mixed teams. Right. If you go look at the World Championship and you go look at the Brazilian team, the Turkish team, the Russian team, the Japanese team, the Australian team, I want to say the American team, but you know, American. But if you look at all these other leagues, majority of their players are from that respective region. Now, Europe is in a very unique place because we have one league, but we have 10, 12, 15 countries that could participate. For Spring Split this year, we've got our first Italian and Portuguese players taking to the stage with Jizuki and Mini Trupax, which is really exciting. And to go back to the question, I would love to see a World Cup. I would love to see the English team taking on the German team and the French team crushing the Spanish team and the Dutch team going up against the Danish team. I mean, look, Denmark would probably win, but we'll take second behind Korea. But I would love to see it, and I'd like to hope that as all of these leagues can continue to thrive and grow, we've got European regional leagues, we've got French leagues, Spanish leagues, German leagues. Hopefully they keep developing, and then you have those sponsors and those teams looking internal and saying, well, we want a squad of players that we can sell to our country and these fans. And
how would a South African team would do?
Oh, South Africa would get crushed. They would get crushed. Unfortunately for South Africa, the online player base is not quite large enough yet. So a lot of the South African players, they play on either the Turkish server or EU Nordic East because of latency. Now, League of Legends, they're not great, but we got some good Counter-Strike teams, and they've actually traveled around the world and performed because you can have local servers for those. So optimistic, but they'll get there one day.
Okay. One last question. You're not a caster anymore. You're now the person in charge of the All-Stars.
Okay, All-Star.
Okay. You're the producer. You're the one making all the decisions. How do you do to make it more hype? How do you change it to make it more interesting, to get more viewers?
It's a difficult question.
It's a difficult question, right?
It is a difficult question. And if you go back through all the variations of All-Stars, it's changed a lot.
Yes.
You go all the way back to the first All-Stars, which we held in Paris, and you compare it to All-Stars that we just held now in LA. We've tried the fun modes. We've tried the craziness, if anybody remembers Barcelona from 2016.
Yes.
We had a death metal band on stage. I dressed up as a WWE wrestler and challenged Ibai to a match which I got crushed in. I think I would go back to that style, the Barcelona, a little bit crazy, a little bit out there, more about personality, more about showmanship and putting on a spectacle. For this most recent iteration, we tried the more competitive route. We took Team Fire and Team Ice out, and the inspiration and the idea was to showcase individual players and try to build this space. But the problem was, when you're playing in a team and the region wants to compete, and then you've got all of NA, all of EU, all of Korea saying, we want our guys to win, the players were less willing to take those chances. There was that competition element. And then it just kind of felt like, why do we have mixed teams? Why don't we just have real teams? So I think I would go back to the Barcelona style, or I'd go back to the previous year, which was in LA, where we did the tandem mode, and we had the 1v1 stage outside. I like the crazy, I like the over the top. But it's really funny because so many people like so many different things. It's just a difficult thing to get right.
Yeah, all right. So maybe to finish, if you have a word for the French fans who are watching either our cast or your cast, maybe you want to say a word for them.
I would love to just say thank you so much to all of the French fans. There's no doubt in my mind you guys are the best crowd and audience in all of Europe. And I have to say Europe because I was in Brazil and they are loud. So the next time we come to France, you guys have to convince me that you're better than Brazil, all right? You're equal in my eyes right now. Anyways, thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and we'll see you on EULCS on Friday.
Thank you.